next one, you need to educate yourself. I mean, guys. Hi guys, welcome back. My name is, as always, Chuka Nwachukwu, your investment advisor. Today, I'm going to continue from where I stopped at the last episode. I said we'll be talking about inflation and how inflation affects your investment. Just to take us back to the last episode where we'll talk about type of investment and all that. It's important also that I give you some certain tips that you need to take into consideration while going into investment. First of all, you have to start small. What do I mean by starting small? You don't have to have 1 billion in order to invest. You don't need to have 100 million in order to invest. I tell some of my friends who youth coppers now, and they say, oh, I'm a youth copper, I don't have money. Chuka, why are you telling me about investment? And I said, look, if I know what I know now when I was 7, I probably would have been happier now, because now I am not taking too many risks. There are things you can do when you have families, So starting small simply means if you earn 100K, for example, you can be intentional about putting half of it in the treasury bills. You just keep multiplying it, keeps growing, and before you know it, it's like try to relate it to what our people call ajo. When growing up, my mom will say, okay, fine, when people dash you money, you put it inside this stuff, and then it keeps growing, right? And before you know it, you're in millions. You would even know that you have grown your investment up to that level. Secondly, you need to diversify. At 20s, 30s, 40s, our risk appetite is high. But then, would you want to put all your investment in a particular sector? No. And that is why you see that most people who are very wealthy have streamline of income. They don't just depend on one aspect of income. So you see them in real estate, you see them in oil and gas, you see them in manufacturing industry, you see them everywhere. Why? It's because they are diversifying, not concentrating their risk in a particular sector. So diversification is very, very important. Is one of the fundamental aspects of investment. The next one, you need to educate yourself. I mean, guys, like I said, you don't invest based on sentiment. And so you need to be sure of where you're putting your money. I'll give you an example. A couple of folks who retired and they were never involved in business, and so all of a sudden government paid them retirement benefits and they jump into a particular business. 9 out of 10 people have got their fingers burnt. You know why? Because they didn't do their homework. They didn't educate themselves. Someone just told them, oh, if you put your money here, it's going to multiply. Oh, I've been doing this for donkey years and I'm making a whole lot. Nope. Some of the best investors out there are not emotional about investment. You can have somebody who is into selling of automobile, for example, and then you jump in because your friend is making it big. Guess what? Grass is always looking greener on the other side until you get there. So investment is a personal thing. You don't get emotional when investing. There are times when you have good products, but the product wouldn't sell. You know why? Because you have the wrong customers. So also is investment. You might have huge money and you find out that your investment is going down. Why? Because you did not do your homework well. You're not investing in the right product. So another key aspect, and this I am speaking to those who want to invest in stock equity, for example. You must have a long-term perspective about investment. In my previous video, I made reference to the fact that if you're buying stock, you are practically buying a part of a company. Take for UBA, for example, in UBA, you buy a UBA shares, for example, you automatically become a shareholder, all right? And so when UBA stock is improving, your investment is also improving. When UBA stock nosedive, your investment also nosedive. And so don't invest in shares or equity just like you're trading. You're not a trader, you're an investor. And investment is a long-term goal. It's not something that you wake up today and you say, look, I've just put in 5 million into this investment. I want to reap the benefit now. No, especially when you're investing in equity. So I thought I should share that tip so that for those of you who missed the other episode, you can go back and then follow through the conversation we just had. So back to our today's topic, inflation. What is inflation? I don't want to use textbook definition. So let's say last year you bought a tuber of yam for 2,000 naira. An inflation figure at that time was at 22%. All right. This year, piece of yam, let's say 2,200. What it means is the value of 2,000 last year is not the same this year. Why? Because inflation has weakened the value of your money. And so for you to be able to meet up in your investment, you must invest well ahead of what inflation rate is. And that is the only way you can make a return. For example, inflation for December 2024 came out at 34.8 from 34.6 it was in November. It means that the value of your investment has depreciated. For you to be able to meet the minimum of the value of your investment, you must be able to have investment that is above what the current inflation rate is. When you want to go into investment, especially buying fixed income securities and other form of investment, the question you need to ask yourself is this: where is inflation figure? What is interest rate doing presently? So if you're able to answer those questions, then you will know that what you're investing in, whether it's going to be profitable or it's not going to be profitable. Obviously, everybody has to make money, and that is why you're investing. So it is very, very important that inflation is at the back of your head when you are investing. Another key element or another key aspect of decision making as regard investment is what is government's strategy as regard inflation. So currently, the central bank major policy is price stability. And so to achieve that, they will have to keep tackling inflation. The current fiscal year, the government has told us that they are going to bring inflation down by 15%. Well, for me, that's a tall order, from 34.8 to 15%. I don't know the magic government is going to do to get it down. But then there are fundamentals that are affecting our current inflation. On textbook, they tell you inflation is excess liquidity in the system. But when you look at the core component of inflation, Nigerian inflation, for example, you find out that the major component of our inflation, it's food inflation, FX inflation. Now, why is food inflation keeps going up, especially a country like Nigeria, where we have vast lands, agriculture is practically our second line of business? Why are food prices going up even during harvest period? The reason is government has to tackle the fiscal aspect of the policy. Yeah, there are two aspects of policy. You have the monetary policy, which is controlled by a central bank, and then you have the fiscal policy, which obviously is controlled by the federal government, or in this case now the president, right? So why is our food inflation continue to rise even during harvest period? The reason is that there is this farmer header issue, insecurity. In fact, everything around Nigeria, what is affecting us today is insecurity. So you have a situation whereby farmers can't go to farm. Why? Because of insecurity. Those who manage to go to farm, either they get killed or they get kidnapped. And those who manage to see to the end of harvest period, you have issue about bad roads. This farm product can't get to the end users. And so you keep asking yourself, so why is price of food going up when we are in harvest period, for example? These are the reasons. If you're investing in agriculture, you need to take all those things into consideration. Then we look at the other component, which is FX inflation. FX inflation obviously is one of the major components of inflation. And why is our naira depreciating? It's as simple as this. Nigeria oil production quota, based on the 2025 fiscal policy by federal government, is 2.2 million barrels per liter. Currently, we are producing about, let's say, 1.3. And even the 1.3, I understand about 800 is already hedged. So what then happens is you have revenue projection based on 2.2 million barrels per liter a day. Now you're not even selling up to 500. So it's not a rocket science. We're not producing enough, we're not selling. If we're not selling, we cannot earn the needed FX for us to be able to, cushion the demand. That's why rate keeps going up. And who is responsible again is the federal government. Because why are we not producing? We are not producing because of oil theft in the Niger Delta, militancy, and all that. How do we address this? It's through the security agents. Who is in charge of security agents is the president. And so our major problem as regard FX, as regard inflation, is fiscal issue, which is insecurity. And so, as an investor, what should you be looking out for? Very important. You must watch out for the government's policies. As an investor, you must be abreast with what is going on in the government. Don't say, oh, politicians, I don't want to have anything to do with policy. No, because you know why? It affects you. So you cannot project. You cannot forecast. And if you cannot focus, it's like you driving blindly. You don't know where you're going. Obviously, you're not seeing what is ahead of you. So, guys, it's important, whether you're in your 20s, whether you're in your 30s, whether in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 100. Inflation is one of the major killers of investment. And so, for you to be able to invest in economy like as ours, you must understand what inflation is doing, what government is doing, government policies, and all that. That alone will inform your investment decision. For those who want to go into equity, this affects you. If the government economy is not favorable to companies, if you want to buy shares in a particular company, then you have to think twice. So you have to educate yourself, you have to understand government policies, you have to understand what CBN monetary policy guidelines are. You need to understand where the government is headed, especially the central bank, as regards inflation. You have to understand why I should invest in equity and not in fixed income. Why should I invest in fixed income and not in agricultural product? Or why should I invest in agric and not real estate? So the decision is yours, but I can assure you that once you have the right investment decision, you're good to go. So we're going to be talking about other aspects of investment as it affects you. I will encourage us to keep tuning into my YouTube channel. And Chuka is a practitioner. I'm in the market. I'm just here to open your eyes to all the investment opportunity you have before you. So till next time, make sure you check what your inflation figures are. Make sure you understand government policies, and make sure you tune into this channel. Have a nice day.